Well, for reaction, I'm joined by the nutritionist Lily Soutter and Lindsay McDonald from the charity Magic Breakfast, which provides meals for children in some schools. Thank you both for joining me. Lindsay, if I can start with you, given the work that you do and why you provide breakfast for lots of schools, lots of pupils, you know that for some children, that is the only hot meal they're getting a day, the school dinner. How concerned are you about what this survey has told us?
We're hugely concerned. Before the pandemic, there was a hunger crisis in classrooms, and that is increasing. We are now seeing as many as 2.7 million children who are at risk of starting their day too hungry to learn. And if we're thinking about the fact that some children aren't being fed, and then on top of that, the quality and the quantity of the food being provided at breakfast and at lunchtime, all of that's falling away. There's a real risk to children's education, just as they need that extra support to catch up after the challenges of the last couple of years and the increasing attainment gap, particularly for children who maybe come from more disadvantaged and deprived backgrounds.
Yeah, we know all the evidence now, don't we? Look, Lily, if we get to specifics, in this survey, 12% of caterers said they are already using more processed food. Around a third say they are considering using more processed food. That specific idea of that coming into the menu, does that concern you?
Extremely concerning. Nutrition is vitally important for children to support them during their learning day. School meals are absolutely critical, that they're nourishing, that they are well balanced. Our brain requires about 20% of all energy by the body to function. So providing children with the right food is going to be critical for energy, concentration, and to support them during their learning day.
Lindsay, we just heard from a government minister acknowledging that prices are rising and saying that he is alive to this issue. Ideally, what would you like to see in place right now in July before the start of the new academic year?
It has to be investment. It needs to be a widening of eligibility for free school meals, which would allow more children to uptake their lunch offering, and also widening the provision of the National School Breakfast Programme, which is currently only reaching, by the government's definition, 25% of disadvantaged children and young people.
If that investment doesn't come along, are we in a situation where, I'm trying to be positive here, could school caterers get more creative? If we're seeing less meat, could they be more creative with cheaper foods, vegetables, which would be good for the planet too?
Absolutely. There's a whole range of options which could be considered. When it comes to protein, for example, some key sources would be meat, fish and eggs, but there are cheaper sources available, such as beans and pulses. Canned food can be an option as well, which is generally quite practical and convenient, such as canned fish. Some of this canned fish provides omega-3 for brain health, cognition. But you can also look at some frozen foods as well, which can be cheaper in some regard and has a longer shelf life and can be just as nourishing as fresh.
How practical is that, Lindsay, given your work with schools, for school kitchens to just turn all that around and swap all those ingredients out for those ingredients?
I mean, our experience is that these supply chains are hugely complex and complicated, and more coordination of them would actually be, really positive. And to your point about being positive and optimistic, I think there is an opportunity with the National Food Strategy, being a bit bolder, a bit braver with some of their decisions to bring in localised supply chains, to make those healthier and potentially more economical decisions, and actually invest in children's education and quality food, and obviously British-grown sources as well. The food insecurity is a challenge for families, which is why the need is increasing, and it's an increasing challenge for partners and suppliers like Magic Breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely. Lindsay and Lily, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you.